All right. So you want to take your speaking to the next level, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you sent over Elliot Kay's Content Mastery, and that's exactly what we're diving into today.
Yeah, Kay's got some really, really interesting ideas in here.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going to unpack how to go from being a good speaker, someone who can get the point across,
Right.
to a speaker that people remember, someone who truly captivates an audience. And the cool thing, a lot of Kay's advice is stuff you can start using right away.
One of the things that really stood out to me was his emphasis on, really laser focusing your message.
Yeah, like getting super clear on what you want to say.
Exactly. He actually talks about distilling your entire presentation down to a single
I
sentence.
mean, a single sentence?
Yep, just one. It's like a headline for your entire talk.
Wow. Okay. That sounds
Yeah.
challenging, to say
Right.
the least, especially if you're dealing with, a complex topic.
It can be, but Kay has this, a framework for doing it. He calls it the message diamond.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this message diamond.
So first, you figure out the core problem or, the opportunity you're addressing. Then you nail down the solution or the big takeaway you want people to walk away with.
Okay, so it's like identifying the problem and the solution, right?
Exactly. And then the magic happens. You got to crystallize all that into one powerful sentence that's going to guide your whole presentation.
So it's not just about having good content, it's about really uh, making it instantly understandable and attention-grabbing.
Right. It's about packaging it in a way that really connects. And then Kay really stresses tailoring your message to your audience.
Oh, that's so important.
It's huge. You got to know who you're talking to. What are their needs? What are their pain points? What do they already know?
You know what? It's funny you say that. Just the other day, I was watching a presentation online, and it was so clear the speaker hadn't done their homework on the audience.
Oh, no.
It was painful. They were throwing around all this jargon and industry-specific language, and I could tell most people were totally lost.
Classic mistake. It's so easy to forget that not everyone is as familiar with the topic as you are.
Totally. So what's a good way to avoid that?
Well, even just a simple survey before the presentation can be super helpful. You can ask about their familiarity with the topic, what they hope to get out of the presentation, stuff like that.
So just a few questions can give you really valuable insights into your audience.
Absolutely. It helps you tailor your message and make sure it resonates.
Okay, so let's say we've got our killer message. We know our audience inside and out. What's the next step? Elliot Kay seems to think delivery is really important.
Yeah, Kay gets into the nitty-gritty of delivery.
Beyond just, like, speaking clearly, right?
Oh, for sure. He talks about using your voice as an instrument, varying your tone, your pacing, to really bring out those key points.
Rousing for effect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Strategic pauses. It's about truly embodying your message, not just reading it off a page.
It's funny. It makes me think of Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. It wasn't just the words. It was the way he delivered them.
Absolutely. Powerful pauses, building the energy.
So much raw emotion in his voice.
And there's scientific evidence to back this up. Did you know studies have shown that over 90% of a message's impact comes from nonverbal communication?
Whoa,
Oh, it's
90%?
so wild. It means your posture, your gestures, your facial expressions, they all play a huge role.
That's incredible. So we've got the content down, we've got the delivery.
We're on a roll.
But Kay also talks about making an emotional connection with the audience. How do we do that?
The magic of storytelling.
Okay, storytelling. I'm listening.
Kay is a huge believer in the power of stories. When you tell a good story, a well-crafted story, you invite the audience to connect with you on a much deeper level.
It's not just information anymore, it's an experience.
Exactly. They're not just listening, they're feeling it along with you.
You know, that reminds me of the speaker I saw at a conference a few years back. They were talking about dealing with a huge career setback.
Yeah.
And they told this really personal story, like about hitting rock bottom and having to rebuild everything.
Wow.
And the way they told it, with such vulnerability and honesty, it was so powerful. You could feel the entire mood in the room shift.
That's the kind of stuff that sticks with people. Raw, genuine stories.
Absolutely. So stories are key. But Kay also cautions against overloading the audience with information.
Right. You don't want to drown them in details.
He's a big fan of keeping visuals simple, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. He's got a whole thing about deaths by PowerPoint.
I've definitely been there.
He says to focus on clean, uncluttered slides, very minimal text. Visuals should enhance your message, not distract from it.
Makes sense. And what about props or, like, demonstrations?
If you use them, make sure they add real value, not just a gimmick.
Okay, so let's imagine we're about to take the stage. We've got our message nailed, our delivery's on point, we've got our stories and our visuals ready to go. What's the last piece of advice Kay gives?
He stresses the importance of being prepared, but also adaptable.
So, practice, practice, practice.
Exactly. But then, be ready to think on your feet. Things don't always go according to plan.
Oh, tell me about it. I had this one experience where the projector died mid-presentation.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was presenting to a group of executives and I just froze. My heart was
I
racing.
can only imagine.
But took a deep breath, grabbed a whiteboard, and just kept going.
You adapted.
And you know what? It ended up being one of my best presentations because I had to think on my feet, be more spontaneous, and really connect with the audience in a different way.
That's a great example of how adaptability can turn a disaster into, a real win.
Absolutely. And lastly, Kay talks about really engaging your audience.
Yes, make them feel like active participants, not just passive listeners.
Because no one wants to sit through a boring lecture.
Yeah.
So what are some ways to make our presentations more interactive?
Key suggests things like asking thought-provoking questions, using humor to lighten the mood, maybe even using polls or quick quizzes.
I like that.
The key is to create that sense of dialogue, a shared experience.
Wow, this has been so insightful. Elliot Kay's Content Mastery really does offer a ton of practical advice for anyone who wants to level up their speaking skills.
It's definitely a great resource.
And it's clear that becoming a truly unforgettable speaker takes more than just having good content, right?
It's a whole combination of things. It's an art.
Totally. It's a skill you hone and refine over time.
And speaking of that, I'd like to leave our listeners with a question. What's one small step you can take today to improve your speaking skills?
Ooh, I like that.
Maybe it's recording yourself, practicing your next presentation, or asking a colleague for some feedback. Every step, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal.
Absolutely. We'd love to hear about your speaking journey. What are some of the biggest challenges you face? What are those aha moments you've had along the way? Share your experiences with us.
We're all ears.
Until next time, keep speaking up and keep shining.
Keep practicing.